Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And so it is I was trying to be on here at 2:20, but it's 2:40, 20 minutes late. Last minute going to the, bathroom privileges and the dog and I'm watching. For those of you know that I've been working on my porch out there. I just poured about 500 pounds of cement tonight, and so I'm watching the cement dry. Howdy, Clody, Clody. I was reading Chloe and Howdy together. Hi, Chloe. Howdy. And if slightly slanted is still on, howdy to you all. But since I kind of got to watch the concrete dry, calling my Soul Tribe family, having spent the last couple of hours mixing concrete and spreading it, and it's finally starting to settle, and I was just out there checking it. So I'm kind of watching cement dry, sort of, although I'm not outside, I'm in the house. But so I'm taking a break because before I put it to bed, it needs to rest another hour or so. Now I'll go out and check it again, see how things are doing, make sure it's, there aren't any big bubbles or anything. It's going to be outside as far as my porch. It's outside the porch. And I've had it landscaped for a while, and it's just been a hole. And a friend of mine called me today and said she was coming over for a visit and wanted to know if there was anything I needed. And I said, yeah, 6 bags of cement. God bless her. So she stopped by with her truck and, hey, Ian, how are you? They loaded up 6 bags of cement. And so I wanted to pour some of them tonight because it's like, why not, right? I am trying so hard to work on some of these projects, and I got so many dead gum projects. But anyway, so anyway, about 500 pounds. The cement that she brought me and some more. I actually needed one more bag of cement, and I ran out. And trying to finish up this section. Anyway, I was not looking forward to doing that much concrete, if you know what I mean. And so after I got it set and water in it and mixing it, I realized I needed to keep adding cement. The spot that I was doing was much bigger than anticipated as far as how many bags of cement. So I used up everything I had and had to do a little bit of rearranging. But anyway, in this story of cement, it is simple. Because I've been watching, you know me, I'm always watching stuff. And one of the things is, well, human beings can be so predictable. All of us, every one of us, predictable? Seriously? And so I didn't know that I was going to mix concrete tonight. I didn't know my friend was coming over until this afternoon. I didn't know she was going to bring concrete until she did. I didn't know that I was going to be crazy enough to try to mix some of it tonight. I didn't realize. So why am I saying this? Because these are human variables. So for those people who might try to quote, if they were trying to predict what I was going to do, they'd have missed because they go, well, he ain't going to mix concrete tonight. It's too late. And I went outside and mixed concrete. You know what I mean? So the idea of what does it mean in the shaman, in uh, realms. Well, from a shaman's point of view, a shaman would understand that every human being is a variable. Okay. There are predictable things in general about human beings. What could make folks laugh? What could make folks cry? You know what I mean? So there are things that society does to do its best to brainwash us or to sway our thoughts or our opinions or something. But the bottom line to this is pretty simple in that are we really predictable? Honestly, are we really, honest to goodness, predictable? Or is it that they want us to think that we're predictable? So we fall into the trap that they wish us, that they want to sell to us that, oh, look, see, we told you you were predictable, you know. So, in schools and this and that, and the mask thing and the shot thing and the this thing, and we're all going to die thing. And you know what I mean? So, what's 12 and 5? 17, right? 17 months later, we're still masking and distancing, and not all of us, but and people are freaking out. Well, I'm there's I think that there are some people who are just going to continue to wear a mask because they have gotten so scared, and I'm going to wear a dust mask when I need one, and because that's all they're really good for. And even then, particles of dust will get through one of these filters. But anyway, so anybody that hasn't worked around dust or anything doesn't know that a mask isn't really any good for this stuff. Uh, but it ain't about that. It's about the programming that they tried and it worked on a bunch of people. So, but there are a lot of people who were the variables who said, "Screw you." No, I'm the variable. You know what I mean? So, in the shaman basics of things, the human is always the variable. It isn't, there are predictable things, but the human being is unpredictable. I mean, even the ones who've been programmed sometimes go off the chain. And guess what? Then they become unpredictable, unmanageable. The common name in a lot of things is they've gone rogue, So, but what does that mean? It means that the human variable somehow has kicked in to whatever it is. So, no matter how hard they try to brainwash us or make us feel a particular way or whatever, it's up to us because we retain the power of our own individual human variable because we are who we are and they can only guess at how we're going to react. But when we start thinking for ourselves and being strong in the spirit, all of a sudden the human variable thingy becomes an issue to them. You know what I mean? Hey, David Castle, Betty Adams, how are you? Is Delaney in the house? I didn't see her name. I wasn't watching, but sort of yes and no. But anyway, blessings to every single one of you in the chat room and to whoever might watch this later on. The idea, though, that there are so many people who have still bought into the Matrix because they've seen the Matrix, and then there are those of us who said, "Okay, now do you see the Matrix? You've seen the movies, right? Okay, so now do you want to be a part of it, or do you want to be yourself? Do you want to be the human variable? You know?" So ET, some of the bad folks, they've been trying to get rid of us for a long time for this way or that way. Guess what? It's been difficult for them. And one of the reasons why they would like to wipe our silly asses out is because the human variable has gotten unpredictable. So what they thought they could control, the human variable has kicked in. Guess how? Through spirituality. So through our spirituality, when we realize who we really are, we become even more variable than what they may have thought that they could predict. You know what I mean? So, several years ago, Brian and I discussed these kinds of things, Brian Barnett and myself, Milky Way Weekly. And in that, to reach a few people and to have a common bond and to whether or not it would work and to whether or not just two guys with hats, because we always wore hats, right? Two guys with hats could have any effect, just in general. So we stayed positive, and well, Brian left us a year ago, but he hasn't left us. Remember that. So the human variable, though, has kicked in my humble opinion. Hey, guys, how are you? And Steve, I think I saw your name go by. Y'all share the cosmic hugs. But in all of this stuff, and I couldn't have predicted what things have turned out to be. I didn't try to predict them, but in hindsight, and I've talked about this in my last two previous videos at 8.5 hours. That if you got that far into the, but the idea that you do what you do, and other people like you all have come in, we share, you hang out. Hey, Jeff, Steve, Chloe, David, okay. And you have become the human variable. Because, just because you hang out with us here, you've got a slightly different point of view than some other people. So that's the human variable. Your spirit is different. We share the same kind of ideals and things. We are members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. When you become aware of these things, that humanness of us, because we are developing our spiritualness, the humanness of us comes out. I know that sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? But the more spiritual we become, the more human we become. What? Wait, huh? And then the more human we become and spiritual we become, and then we move into a whole nother different realm. Anyway. But to that point, though, how many folks, and I always use myself as the example, of course, but, how many people anywhere would have said, well, Nellie is going to mix 500 pounds of cement tonight and finish his outside porch to his porch. What? I didn't know until a few hours ago. So I am my own human variable. But I was like, man, I'm awake. It's kind of cool outside. There's a nice breeze blowing. It's supposed to be 100 degrees in a couple of days. And, I want the concrete in now. Plus, my friend brought me some more. So, hey, Melazazel, how are you? Blessings to you. Cherry, yowza, 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 everybody. But so one of the things that I would like to, strange sense of word, but something that I would like to just to bestow upon you is the fact that the understanding that, guess what? Because you're human, because you are trying to be spiritual, then you are a variable in the grand scheme of things. Because you are not following the most traditional things, otherwise you probably wouldn't be hanging out with us. But in the sense that we are all looking for that higher spiritualness, to be a better person, which means we're going to be better to other people. And when we are being that, our variability changes as a human being. So those folks, where whoever they are out there, who think they can guess, so glad you're here too, Betty. I'm I'm half I'm half seeing my turmeric at this particular time. Hey Brandy, how are you? Melazazel, thank you for hanging out and listening to the show. But anyway, with all these things that go on with people in politics and stuff, there are those who thought that we would all be in a civil war by now. There are a lot of people who think we would have been, killing each other and this, that, and the other thing. And there's so many people who had kind of halfway predicted that we wouldn't act human. You know what I'm saying? That the human side of things would not kick in, that we would just be so pissed off or we would be so disgruntled, and that we would just act as a mob mentality. And guess what? So the last few months, that hasn't happened. Yes, there have been protests and yes, there have been things, but to the point of, if you'd have thought about this 5 months ago, you'd have went, these people, we're all going to be rioting in the streets. They're going to be dropping bombs here in America. They're going to be dropping bombs everywhere. People are going to be at each other's throats. There's going to be mayhem, and it just ain't that. So they tried to get us to do it. So my point is, what happened to their plan? It's the human variable. It's me and you. It's our friends and neighbors who have decided we ain't going to go for that shit, quite frankly. And that, we're seeing through whatever the veil is, that, there are so many people that they are still so scared they're going to die if they don't wear a mask. It's sad. It really is. And we have to be gentle with these people. I know a few, and I just got to we just have to be gentle with these folks. And they're not going to believe what I say or what any of us say about the size of the microns of the mask. It ain't going to because they're scared. Okay. So, and then the mask offers them a false sense of security because they've bought into the it thing, the it factor, right? But then those who planned the it factor didn't really plan so much on the human factor. Just us making up our own damn mind, looking at facts and going, this just don't look right to me. You know what I mean? So for all the planning and all the things, there are so many different, things in the world. I, watch old war movies and things and stuff. And, the Germans said, well, our place is so, is so strong, no one will ever get in. And they figured out ways to blow shit up. The Allies did. And it was like, because guess what? It was the human factor. Because a couple of humans that are, that can do not necessarily extraordinary things, but are put into really crappy situations and can end up doing heroic and I won't say superhuman, but in that they get the job done. There were factories that got blowed up during the wars and things. But anyway, I picked up connected. We are in my Yoda voice. There you go, Brandy. Um, but anyway, and you all out there, calling different people and so forth, you're using your human factor, you see, your variable in that, well, if me and such think about this third person enough, they might catch on, and we're learning. Um, I answer slammers like, I answer the phone. Hello. Can you hear me? Thank you very much. Yeah, somebody called from Ohio today twice, and it was like, "Hello, this is David Null," and I was like, "Yeah," and I thought it was like really important. Well, this is such and such from some kind of something, and I was like, didn't even let him finish the sentence. I'm not going to argue with him. I'm not going to tell him not to call back, and I'm sorry, but click. You know, I didn't ask you to call me. I don't want to. I'm not into any kind of phone solicitation. So click, state your business. Well, can you hear me? Okay, yeah, blah blah blah, yeah. And I was like, this is really important. Well, I'm here to some kind of, and I was, that's that. And there's this one guy that keeps calling me here from Atlanta for the state of Georgia for the Police Benevolent Society and all this. And every time he calls, I tell him, I've told, and it sounds like the kind of same voice kind of thing, sort of a deeper voice gentleman. And I'm like, I have told you people, I'm on limited income. I'm broke. Stop calling me. I don't have enough money to pay my own. I'm not sending money out to the Police Benevolent Society. I'm on Social Security. I'm an old man. And no, stop calling. Take me off your list. Please. You've got other people you can call. It ain't me, right? So I talked to this guy and I said, take me off the list. Other times I just hung up and he called me back and I go, listen, I know y'all got a good program here, but blah, 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 but stop calling me. All right. Well, maybe no, I'm not going to hit the lottery. And if I do, well, then maybe I would donate some money to the police, whatever. But the guy on the other end of the line doesn't know how many times I've been brutalized by the police. So why do I want to give to just say it. But they keep being rude and keep calling me back. So, it's like, well, okay, Mel, I'll call you crazy because I could not find my bird. Luckily, I went seriously and my blue jay came out the mirror on the wall. Okay. Cherry, all of us feel alone a little bit at some point. And that's sort of human nature. But the more we develop our spirituality of things, for me, it just, for every day that I said, I don't get any visitors and I'm trying to get my family to come see me. And I've been trying to get people to come help me on the house and I just gave it up. I quit worrying about it. Because I have to deal with whatever it is I'm dealing with on a daily basis. So, would I like to not be quite so lonely all the time and somebody that's a nice person would come by and visit or something, just something. But it's like, it is what it is, I got you all out there. And, one reason why I'm here early this morning while I'm waiting for the concrete to dry. Seriously, I got concrete drying. That I not that I felt alone today, but I actually felt that there were people who felt alone today. it was not me feeling lonely, but I was sitting here and I was like, well, I'll watch something and I'll go check out on the concrete. And I was like, yeah, but it's 2:30 in the morning and blah, blah, blah. At what time? 1:30 in the morning it was. Wait, no, it was 2:30. Hawkeye, I say I don't need life insurance. I need a lawyer. No, a good pro bono. No, but you need to check around there. If you check depending on what state you're in, you can check. It's like check the Georgia Bar Association or something like that, and they will usually, I remember years ago when I needed an attorney, they suggested that I get in touch with the Georgia Bar and see if any of the listed attorneys, etc., did any pro bono work and where and what and so forth. Anyway, so check Alabama, Brandy. That's what I do, Hawkeye. I looked at the number. If it's not any of my friends, I don't answer. Yep. Thank you, guys. Me too. Leave a message. And if you don't leave a message, then I really didn't want to talk to you. And if any of you do call me, and, my number's been out there so many times, I have an answering machine, but it's not in the house. It's at a remote location through my phone service. So after the third ring, maybe the fourth, no matter what I do, I can't turn off the answering machine. So if you really want to talk to me, then wait till the answering machine picks up, hang up, and call me right back, because that'll usually tell me that somebody knows the trick. You wait for it. If I don't pick up the second time, then please leave a short message. Hi, this is, Umpty Scrunch, and if you got a chance, call me back, or I'll try to call you back. Okay, bye. It doesn't have to be much. But people who don't really want to talk to you, they won't leave a message. So, but anyway, just confused. No. Now I know what I saw. Okay, Mel. Here in Kansas, there is a lawyer referral service that we can call. You might check that out. Right. In Alabama, just do a search for the state of Alabama, pro bono. It might be way out of your area. It might not be somebody local. But you can also, depending on where you are, check with the local chamber of commerce and for whatever your issue is, say, listen, I really need someone. Is there anybody who does pro bono work, or in the event of pro bono, would they take payments? Is there somebody that works with the poor, or, legal services? There are a lot of times an attorney will work through legal services. And I know in Georgia, they used to have legal services for the Mexicans. I was trying to think illegal alien, but anyway. And so you could go to legal services, and if somebody was having problems or something, and they needed, so they went through legal services, and an attorney who did pro bono work would come through legal services. So check that out, Brandy, if there's any legal, anyway, legal services for the poor. But there's a lot of folks have gotten better at it over the years. But anyway. So, but in this thing of being unpredictable, I enjoy the fact that I am unpredictable. I'm here at 3 o'clock in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I truly do love you. And, so Cherry, if you're feeling lonely, maybe I came on here because I could hear loneliness. And I'm not joking. I was like, once in a while, I've done something, man. I'm the one that feels a little lonely, right? But I was sitting here kind of feeling fulfilled because I mixed 500 pounds of concrete by myself, and it's sitting out there, and you know, um, Duggar's safe. We had supper. Everything's sort of hunky dory here. Can't really complain. Had a good visit from a friend of mine who brought me cement today, so I could mix it. And so, kind of feeling really nice and fulfilled, right? And I got some heavy duty stuff done today, not just nitpicking stuff. And, you know, went for a walk or two, and I'm sitting here and it was like, there's loneliness in the universe somehow. As much as I wasn't going to do a video, I said, no, this is one of them times I need to. So, Cherry, this one's for you along with other folks. But the more that I've become in tune, and it seems like even with myself, when I become too predictable, it's nice to be unpredictable. Like I wasn't thinking about doing a show because I was mixing concrete, right? So here we are, and with the human variable. Now, what does that mean spiritually? It means we always have a chance to do better. It means, if we get stuck in a rut, we can say, wait, I ain't walking in this rut no more. I just ain't. I ain't walking in this rut no more. And that's the human variable. I did a couple of videos back about when enough is enough. That's it. That's the human variable. There are humans that will go along with it and go along with it and go along with it, and they'll just die in that vein. Whatever, pick a spot, right? I'm just for just whatever. It's the mask. So there are some people that I know who they're not going to get rid of the mask. They're going to be forever scared to death about this. And I'm like, okie dokie, I love them. I'm going to pray for them, but they reached a certain panic point recently and within the last 17 months, and don't know if they're going to be able to get unpanicked. You know what I mean? Landlord's not working with me on ERA program. He's got had court without me. Oh man, I hate that, Brandy. You could go to the sheriff and a justice of the peace. You could file a separate suit against him. It would have. Well, in a way, I did share it with you, Jerry. I mean, I was thinking about y'all, and when I had to show my friend off how much weed eating I did up on the hill, and she was very impressed. She was like, "Oh my God, this is really cool up here. Look, another blueberry bush." And you know, her daughter is 13, going on 13, or well, I think it's in September she'll be 13. But what a lovely young lady. I mean, just and smart and talented. And I talked about it last week when they were picking mulberries, and Miss Emma had mulberries all over her face and everything. I got a big kick out of it. Where her mama was a little, I was like, I get you, Emma. I do. It was cool. But anyway, but it's one thing for me to do something around the house or clear a trail, but when I can share it, and say, hey, look at this trail I cleared. Come walk with me on the hill and look at all these cool things. It's cool that me and Duggar get to walk, but it's even better when I can share it. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Yeah, comfort mask. That's right, Ian. I was thinking about this earlier about I think about it often, but not so much for myself, because I have accepted my hermit's life. Again, not that I don't want to ever go visit anybody or that ain't it. But I realize that right now, especially with the virus, and especially I was going to get a Jeep, but that ain't going to happen now. So that's another story. I'll just leave that alone. So much for promises of supposed friends, but shit happens. So, but anyway, it is what it is. But you roll with the punches and you figure it out. And well, if that ain't going to work, well, then let me see what else I got to work with here. But getting pissed off about it, I being frustrated and kick the dirt for a few minutes, absolutely. Get it out of your system. But anything after 15 minutes of being angry or sad or whatever, shake it off, But this loneliness factor, because of all the mask stuff and the distancing, and now there's gas shortages, and now there's this shortage, and there's that thing. And so what was a little bit easier, a little tenable situation, now there's all these other fears that are piled on top of people. So if we were feeling mildly alone before, we're really feeling alone now because, well, there's not enough gas. I want to go see my friend, but there's no gas at the gas station. And I don't want to use up the gas because I might need it to get to the store next week. So, me and Duggar were going to go to the river, and I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe I should just wait, and maybe I should just wait because we're going to need to go to the store. Maybe I should wait a couple more days and see how the gas situation gets. And anyway, but to the point though, what I was going to do and what I did do and what I ended up doing is the human variable. That's us. I didn't go to the river. A friend came over and I ended up mixing concrete tonight. What, like 11 o'clock? I was out there mixing concrete a couple hours ago. Took me a lot longer than I anticipated. I am sore. Let me tell you, my back is killing me. So coming up, let's see, what time is it? Oh, good. It's 3:17. Okay. Me and Chloe are working on our telepathic communication skills. Yeah, there you go. And Terry, that's one of the things that for us, all of y'all out there, yeah, I got mine ready. I got on late and I've waited this 38 minutes so that I could, share a bowl with y'all at the 20. And I know it's like, well, every 20 at the hour. Does that mean I'm firing up and getting stoned? No, I'll take one or two hits and go off and do something and come back later. But anyway, so Terry, and for other folks who are lonely, and I know you are, because there are times when if I stopped and thought about it, I'd be one lonely mofo. And too many years have gone by, too much energy I have siphoned from myself by allowing the loneliness to take over. And so I almost did a video earlier today, and it was it was just gonna be, for me, a short video to just say hi, peace and love to all of you, and try to stay in the joy. Try to find a joyous moment. In the moments of loneliness, for me, if I'm feeling a little, well, I ain't seen nobody called me on the phone except these bill collectors or whatever, they want money from me or whatever. I don't have any bill collectors that call me anymore. I'm taking care of that. But I think, no, if I'm feeling by myself, there's Steve out there, There's Michelle, though. There's Cherry. There's, you know, my lovely, Miss Pearlie Jones. There's Teresa and Elderberry and all these people out there. And so I'm not alone. I may not be talking to them at the moment. I may be feeling a little left out, no human contact, but in my heart, I know y'all are out there. And so when I say I send prayers out to everybody, I do. It's time, 3:20 here. So to all of you, I wish to continue to spread this. Simply because I'm not online with you here doesn't mean that I'm not online with you up here. Okay. And each of y'all out there are learning the same thing. You're learning this consciousness thing. I watched a woodpecker and a mockingbird chip back and forth to each other today. Weird. And I've been seeing this woodpeckers around here. I mean, fly like right by the house kind of thing. And every time I look, they do not look like the pileated woodpeckers. Now I know they're back there because I can hear them hammering. But there's the ivory-billed woodpecker that was seen here in the South Georgia in the swamps of the Ochlockonee and all, and it was one of the last sightings of the woodpecker, which has been like almost 100 years ago. But we've been seeing them around here, and I swear to goodness, I'm gonna get a picture. If that son of a gun really does exist, I mean, if it's a pileated, okay, my bad. But if it really is, because the color pattern is wrong, if it really is an ivory-billed woodpecker, then it ain't just my backyard, but it's the swamp. There are going to be people all over the place. I mean, one picture would be worth $1 million. Hey, spirited woman, how are you? Woodpeckers do their things. Yeah, mockingbirds, yep. Fire in the hole, yep. Me again, too, in between. So, woo, that was a good one. So, in our learning of our spiritualness, in learning about our shaman side, which for me just means, to be a spiritual person, that our spiritual side is always the variable. So, if I'm feeling lonely and, well, if I will, there was something earlier today that just brought me to tears, and I could not figure out what it was. So for a few minutes, I sat here and kind of wept quietly, and tears ran down my cheeks. And I was like, whatever it is out there, going to let this emotion wash over me. And whoever needs this, it's okay. It's all right to cry. It's all right to let it out. I knew it wasn't my emotion because I'm like, didn't have a reason. So, and then I said prayers back to it. I said, so whatever that emotion is, allow the tears to, whoever it was that was doing that needed it. I was like, let the tears flow, let the tears wash out the sadness and replace it with joy. That's why I was going to do a video earlier. Actually, it was yesterday, Tuesday, that just said, stay in the joy. No matter how tough it gets, try to stay in the joy. Hummingbird, And Hummingbird flew right around. I mean, literally did circles around me and flew up into the tree. I mean, really cool. I put out 2 feeders. I mean, the thing did literally flew a circle around me, went to the feeder, flew kind of like, oh, and then up to a tree I saw and flew out. And I was standing there going, oh, wow, that was really cool. But here's the interesting thing. As I was standing outside, just outside this window right here, which is just a little past the bird feeder, I thought to myself, now I'm standing here, I'm just looking up in the sky, I'm just looking where the kitties are, and I'm just standing there looking. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if one of the little buggers just buzzed me? And within 30 seconds, I had a hummingbird buzzing around me to the feeder and then back up. And I was like, well, that's coinky dinky a New Zealand pecker means penis, so it's a woodpecker. Rise. You got a wooden penis, right? There you go. And I'm sorry, since you got on the woodpecker thing. How come witches don't have babies? This is an old Halloween joke. How come witches don't have babies? Because their husbands have a Halloweenie. Bad joke. You brought it up, Gaza. I stay up hours. My YouTube kept giving me an error message. They call her the Jandals thong G-strings, so the Aussies walk around on G-strings on their feet. I haven't seen a dove, Betty, down here in a while. Not that they ain't here. But yeah, there was a cardinal out on the ground earlier. I saw a blue. It didn't look like a blue jay. It wasn't quite, but it was a blue bird that was in the area here. But that I've noticed since I've been walking across my hill and around and so forth and opening up trails again, I've noticed that there are many different types of varieties of how many different types of berries. So, and in these trees, and especially it depends on the tree. I was up at the driveway and there's a tree that's growing alongside of the road. And since that ain't my property, I haven't cut it down. And it's a Leland pine. And it looks like a Christmas tree right there at my driveway. I mean, right at the road, You have to I'm going to have to trim it because, I can't see anyway. It's blocking my view. But at the moment, I just have left it go. But as I'm walking and putting garbage in the garbage can, the garbage runs on Tuesdays. I notice in the tree right there on the road, there's a bird's nest. So it must have been last year's bird's nest because I don't see anything in it. But I was like, I've walked past this tree every single day, and hidden within the boughs of this pine tree is a bird's nest. Don't know what kind, but so for all these little trees that are on my property versus only pine trees and grass on my neighbor's property, same thing with my neighbors across the street, lawns, big trees, there are no shrubs. I look at other neighbors' property around here. If it weren't for the hill, my hill in this neighborhood that has all of these smaller trees and so forth, I am where all the birds are coming to build a nest. Because when I look at all the other neighbors' yards, there aren't any places for them to build nests. They don't have little trees. They got a few shrubs and azaleas or something, but birds don't usually like to put nests in azaleas. Not that they won't. So in my own lifetime and looking around, I go, what would you call a guy with a potato on the end of his winky? A dictator. Yep. I seriously laughed. Thank you. That's a good one. Internet, all of the world today, CME or hackers? Probably all of the above, Brandy. I mean, seriously. We got hackers, we got local plans that are things that are going wrong. So I don't know. I had the same trouble, spirited woman, with YouTube earlier. In fact, earlier when I was going to do the video, it was acting up, and I said I thought it was the computer, because every couple of days, I'll be watching a YouTube video or something, and it'll start getting squawky. The sound will go out, then the video will get choppy, and then the whole computer just shuts down. And I thought that was one of those times today earlier. So I just left it alone. It might have rebooted on its own, and I just wasn't here. I went out, I went outside and mixed concrete. But and I'm going to pay for it in the morning. Let me tell you, I was not expecting to mix 500 pounds of concrete today. Anyway, but it's done. It's drying. But YouTube was being funky today for me too. I pulled up the local weather. The computer was okay. Pulled up the Shaman residence. By the way, it was spiking earlier. There's been some interesting wide little spikes, like right off the charts and back, for a couple of hours, 6-8 hours max, really much for a couple of hours, but we're getting hammered. Same here in Aussie is crap. 1 minute good, next minute bad. Yep. Pigeons made a nest on the back stairs above. 2 top floors have been empty for over a year. Nest was made of more zip ties than twigs. That's interesting. I've seen quite a few nests made out of plastic bags. I mean, shreds, pieces, and they line it. But if you think about it, to them it's biodegradable, because within a year, it's going to come out of the nest. But if you're trying to keep your nest warm, a plastic lining's like one of the best, insulators. Back in the day, it was if you're freezing to death, take plastic bags and stuff them in your arms in a shirt or a jacket or whatever you got, and stuff it down your pants and become a balloon person with plastic bags. And people say, well, that's stupid. Yeah, but if you're freezing to death, it'll help keep you warm. It may keep you from freezing to death. I ain't going to say you're going to get warm, but it will keep you from freezing to death. But anyway, rebooting didn't work on a few you. Yeah, right. I did the exact same thing. I tried this person. It was like a 3-minute video. Update something, blah, blah, blah. I tried one with RT. I tried one, like just pick one that I didn't even know, and it didn't work. So YouTube was just not working earlier. I can vouch for that too. I thought it was local, but obviously y'all had issues too. So whatever it is, it's going on. There are glitches in the works. I'm getting to the point where the river's starting to get low now. I mean, like low. It's not too hot yet outside, but it's supposed to be 100 on Monday, this coming Monday. 100. We had a high of 65 the other day. So we went from one of the coldest times in May to one of the hottest times in May on Monday. Within 10 days now. Oh, by the way, and the earth is wobbling. June solstice is when summer begins. Because technically we're in spring. So I've got my over on the floor, and I haven't talked about this in a while, but it's still there. I've got an old Boy Scout compass, and it's got a plastic frame. So on it, I have found a spot on the floor over there, and I took some red ink and traced the corner of this. I found true north uh, inside the house, and I made a corner. So off of the corner of the chest over there, um, I drew a line out to the corner and then over here to a corner. So um, if the compass gets moved, which Duggar will kick and move, sweeping and all, But so if I want to check to see where the sun is and whether or not the planets moved from magnetic north, okay, so I can put my compass down and in the corner that I have drawn on the floor and be really, 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 really close with like a half a degree. So, but here's the interesting thing. So June is when, the summer solstice. Now, the summer solstice is when supposedly the sun rises in the most eastern portion of the sky. Now, my bay window's over there, and I was looking at it earlier, it, checking my compass on the ground. Now, magnetically, north is still north. It's like actually better than it was. But this morning, the other morning, when it was, I did that 8.5 hour video, as I'm going to bed, I'm looking through this window over there, and it's not east, it's northeast. Now, this is May. I got the sun coming up in this really eastern window, like a northeastern window that's part of I'm going to fix with the porch kind of thing. There's the sun's coming up through that window. No, 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 no. It's 30 days early. It shouldn't be in that window until June. Now something's up because it should only come up in that window for like a week before the solstice and a week after. Because as soon as we go through the summer solstice, it starts becoming fall. So when the sun's straight overhead, it's equal day, equal night, that kind of thing. Okay, it's 12 and 12. Then it starts going the other direction. So instead of the days getting longer, then the days after the summer solstice, the days start getting shorter because we automatically now are starting to head towards autumn. So why is the sun coming up in this window over here? It ain't got no business being there. So my answer, the reason I'm saying that is that that's the proof to me because it wasn't in that window a couple of days ago. And I don't know, but so if it goes in and out of that window, is it the sun that's moving or is it the earth that's wobbling? I'm just saying. And for summertime, that the sun coming up in that window, it ain't got no business being there. That's all I gotta say. It is not even east; it's northeast. It's it's like east by northeast. Whether it should be technically, it should be east by southeast. It should be a little bit south of east until the summer solstice. All the natives lined up their everything on the summer solstice. Everything lined up on it, came up straight through here. My windows have been here for the last 35 years. They should not have the sun in them right now. It would be like Stonehenge and going to Stonehenge, and you go, well, oh my God, it's shining through the hole like the summer solstice, but it's not. That's what it means to me. But anyway, poor plants are so confused. Was barefoot on the beach? Yeah, great. Yeah. People are starting to come around. But I would bet you that after all this, You too, huh, Cherry? And the sun's got to come through a bunch of trees and my neighbor's, trailer and all kinds of stuff. But for it to come up in the window that it does, is like, especially now, I would expect it in another 30 days, in the middle of June, 1920, but not now. So, but anyway, so for me, and I have been keeping an eye on a couple of the constellations. And the other night, it was kind of more like this. And then within a couple of hours, it was sideways. And I was like, it hasn't risen in the sky, the constellation, but it has turned. The Earth has turned, so where it's normally like this and then goes to sleep in the west, it was asleep in the west before it got to the west. So, but anyway, so where Orion would be way high one night and 2 or 3 days later it'd be closer to the tree line, to the horizon, and it dropped 15, 20 degrees in 2 or 3 days, and boom, back up it'd be, but it wouldn't necessarily be twisted. This constellation is turning side now. Not to say that Orion did not twist. I'm just saying there were times when it was in the same position, higher in the sky, 3 days later, lower in the sky, in the same configuration. So anyway, the wobble's still on, I've been tracking the sun from my window for years, and it's shining in earlier and from a slightly different angle. Yeah, there you go. So, see, we are supporting each other, Spirit Woman and Gaza and Cherry, in that we are observing what's really going on. So, and I have to pull this card. And what I mean is that puts us a little bit ahead of a curve because we have been paying attention to nature around us. So those of us who are more tuned into sun shouldn't be in that window, then we know something's going on. Doesn't mean we should freak out, but I can be comforted, you can be comforted, and we all can be comforted in the fact that we are, guess what, observing the same or similar things. And so I just feel good that you guys see it too. I don't care about anybody else, don't care about what the scientists say. I gave that up years ago. But I freaked one of my friends out years ago. He hadn't called me since. And I said, so how's that sun going coming up in that window? You said it never comes in. And he goes, look, God damn it, no, he said, that came up in my eyes and woke me up this morning. And I was like, yeah, and you say, and the sun never used to do that, right? Yeah. So I don't want to talk about it. And he hung up the phone because it meant, Isby, Betty, supposedly we are shifting. Hawkeye and the moon is waxing and waning every night. Yep. And right now the moon is really high in the sky. Okay. Just making that observation. It's going down dead in the west where it's supposed to. But I will guarantee you within a week, we'll see. Last time, it was straight overhead, and within 2 days, the moon had dropped 10 degrees, where it'd been overhead for 2 weeks. So, which is also an indication either the earth is wobbling. I think the moon wobbles with us, but it's more of a like in the wake of the earth. If the earth wobbles up a little bit, the moon's like, whoa, and kind of catches up a day or two later, So the earth might wobble up and the moon stays in its same position. So my point is it stays overhead for 2 weeks and then earth wobble and now the moon's out my window. What happened? Did the moon move or did the earth wobble? The moon was fine for 10 days, you know, everything hunky-dory in the west and coming up, see it outside, have to go outside to see it, you know, to look up. It would be so straight overhead. And then 2-3 days later, it's over here and getting lower in the sky. Earth or the moon, you know? Isbeat, I got your message today. I did. I did not know that you were on the road and needed a place to stay. I was in and out yesterday after doing that 8.5 hour video. I was tired, sleeping. My back hurt because I'd been sitting in this chair for 8.5 hours. And I did not know that was you that had left messages on my phone. Had I known that, you would have been welcome to come here. So I'm sorry that I did not return your call. I was otherwise messed up. Anyway, I hope it's good to know you're safe. So, but anyway, so in our spiritual awareness in this, we're the human variables. Where other people, if the, let me back this up a little bit. Because of our observations, what we were just talking about the sun and moon and stuff, our observations shared between friends is like, okay, we're aware of that. So, but the variable is, think of how many people out there who would still to this day, friends and family will not believe us. And even when you prove it to them, like my friend down the road, he just won't talk to me anymore. And I'm like, so when does the sun coming in today, Ed? You know, I don't want to talk about it, you know. Because, you know, he's supposed to be aware of things, you know, in nature and stuff. And we've known each other for years, ever since I've moved here. And it's like, but wait a minute. You're just, some people are just not going to want to buy it. You know what I mean? So scientists, that they don't really talk about it much. But if all of a sudden, as part of the disclosure, be careful what you want to find out. If scientists said, yeah, we've been in this earth wobble now for several years, and the planet is going like this, topsy-turvy, and yeah, we just didn't want to freak anybody out, you know. And so for those of us who've been, of course it's wobbling, you know, we've been watching it. But when we become vindicated by the national news, think of all the people who are going to go, what? Yeah, I seen some crazy guy on YouTube said something about earth wobble. You mean he was right? Holy shit. You know, and it ain't about me or you or us being right, but it will be nice to go, thank you. I can look out the window and tell. I don't need a scientist to tell me yes or no from my own observations. You know, but so with that said, though, how we are internally about this, it still freaks me out and kind of, you know, weirds me out. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a lot more comfortable with it because I've been observing it now for going on 4 years. Actually, more, but I mean, really observing it, where I used to do timestamps and where the sun is and all that kind of stuff. You know, paying attention to it this morning and the other day, and I was like, it's too early. But it wasn't in that window the other day. So it's like, we're wobbling in and out, which, you know, which way is it? Well, we're getting all these, you know, shock waves from the sun and all this kind of stuff. And it's messing with the magma, the lava in the earth. For all what these people want to say, the earth is riding on this stuff. It's sort of like I don't know, what's a buffer zone, if grinding things create these things and internal heats and whatever. But if Mother Earth is heating up inside because of all these cosmic waves and all this stuff, the magma gets thinner, it runs easier through the rock than it does when it's really thick and gooey. So the more that the magma lava stuff in the ground, if it heats up and it gets thinner, like oil does and everything else, the viscosity changes. So then it can seep through cracks it don't normally see through. It can get into places that it don't normally do. So, and if the earth is wobbling, well, it's going to be in the creaky zone. You know what I mean? Just because. So, to me, it makes perfect sense why earthquakes and this and that, from what's going on. Before, I couldn't understand. Oh my God, there's all these earthquakes. Yeah, but if you break down common sense science, the magma's heating up, it's thinning, it's going in a place it didn't used to, it's traveling quicker and in getting into other places. And of course, because of the wobble, which we are all observing, then that's the cause. Now, what's causing the wobble? All of the above. Cosmic energy heats up the magma gets thinner with the sloppiness of the thing. It's an out of round tire that needs balance. And whether or not the electrical flips, there are people who tried to sell this that the whole planet's going to flip on its side. And I think they're simply, if you, let me back up just a little bit. In a science experiment, they would take a bicycle wheel, say like a 20-inch bicycle wheel, and put a handle where it would attach to and so you sitting in a chair that swivels and you spin the tire. Now, as you hold this thing, it acts like a gyroscope. So if you turn the spinning bicycle wheel this way, you'll swivel and the chair will swivel. Okay. And it's very hard to control. But if you hold it correctly, the chair will turn. And if you turn it back the other way, the chair will go the opposite direction. So, but if you try to turn that thing sideways, if it's really spinning fast, it's really difficult. Okay. So, with the earth spinning as fast as it is, my point to this is that physical centrifugal force will keep it spinning, although it will wobble like a top does. It's going to be very difficult to flip that sumbitch upside down. It just is going to be, unless the earth stops or something hits us to change our wobble and knock us out. That's always possible. But this idea that the earth is going to flip upside down is not going to just happen on its own. Physics is going to say probably not. We'll keep wobbling like a mofo, but will the magnetics flip? Quite possibly. And I have expected that they would have already flipped by now, but there's evidence that it's flipping. In other words, one day it's on the positive, the next day it's on the negative, and that it's pulsating because of the energies coming from outer space that have increased. So it could be positive and then change so quick back to negative positive that it's like, what was that? So it's flipping in a way that is not noticeable in frequencies. Suspicious observer wages war. Dutch sense and space weather. Yeah. I've been watching Ben for a long time, and he got me started on the observations, but then he went off on this tangent where I'm watching spaceships fly by, and he's talking about diving comets. And I'm like, no. Oh, and it's all about, and this is a thingy, and this is a that. No, it ain't. Sorry. So he and some others, God bless him. I think he does a good job for people who don't have a clue, but if you really go past the science of what he's telling you and showing you, there's much more. And so I took the tools that he was using and started doing my own scientific research. And I went, wait a minute, he ain't telling the whole story because of, but he only does a 4 or 5 minute show every day, and he crams this in and a little bit of that. And here's the this and here's the current. And then I started diving in really deep, and checking this. And I mean, for weeks, months, years, I was doing daily calculations, and I did some stuff way early on Brian's show where I was showing people about how, these different things on these different satellites and the different ways that you could use those. So some people say, well, you should watch this. If you go back 3 years, I showed you how to use those same tools myself, but I'm just saying, not trying to pull rank, but so, and not to say that Ben's a bad guy. Don't get me wrong. I do not mean that for the slightest. Mom's got this room gassed with mothball. Holy crap! Hawkeye could be the wobble cause a small ice age somewhere. Yeah, but not for long, Steve. It's more the ice age thing is that this Mandarin minimum thing, and I think the way I kind of get it is that we're always going around a little bit further out. So there are some times where in our distance from the sun, we go we wobble a little further out, you know. So for a couple of years, we kind of slingshot out a little bit, and it gets a little cooler, and things are, and then we get a little bit closer in. You know, that's my take. And last spring was a good spring versus 3 springs ago where it was so hot by this time of the year. We were like half dead and no water. This spring we've had decent water and cool weather, and at least until this coming Monday. Now, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it was 95. So, does it get hot in May? Yeah. But it was hot upstate somewhere too. It was like, I can't remember where it was. And then everybody went into this cool spell. So the wobble would cause us to go further north towards the pole. And thus also the northern lights would have a tendency to come further south. You know what I mean? Why are the northern lights so far south into Canada and North America? You know what I mean? Versus up there towards the top. Well, magnetic field. Yeah, but what if the magnetic field is there because the Earth has wobbled north, which would also bring in cooler air? If we've wobbled to the south, which at the moment it seems because the moon's straight overhead, so kind of sort of in its normal position, we're in warmer weather. And right now we've got a big high pressure that's sitting right over us. It was really windy today. Pleasant, hot, or warm, not hot, but warm. And, not too bad. The humidity was decent, I mean, like, not really bad. And so for all the bitching and complaining about weather, this spring's been one of the nicest I've seen in quite a few years. And last spring was decent, you know what I mean? So, but we're supposed to be going into the Maunder minimum. I remember when I was growing up in Ohio that we could see them in Ohio, but not about Kansas. So, so if our globe, we're already tilted, but if we roll towards the north, if we wobble north, we would have a tendency to get cooler. We wobble south towards, the equator kind of thing, we have that tendency to be warmer. And I have watched it over the years, and there is definitely seems to be it's more than coincidental anyway. But I don't hear anybody else really. Now, I don't listen fish as observers like I used to. I keep an eye on them and read the thing, but I'm like, for myself, many people have been trying to talk about these dive bombing, you know, asteroids and comets and all this kind of stuff. And no, dummy, it's a spaceship. Uh, you know, nobody wants to talk about it, those things are spaceships. They don't act, they don't come out. Well, that went in a sun diving comet, sun diving comet, sun diving comet, sun diving comet. And if they were sun diving comets, then why can't we see them? Why can't we see these comets with the naked eye? Well, they're coming in from the same freaking direction they've always been coming in, but how come we can't see them? But they're all sun diving comets, and they're all, and no, they ain't. I'm sorry, a lot of those are alien ships, one way or the other. Whether some of them end up in the sun or not, that's their trajectory. They're as big as small planets. You know, sorry, but that's the truth, and people just don't want to admit the truth. They've been watching these things for a year. The poor guy's been calling them sun diving comets, and I'm just like, one of these days, these people are going to they're going to shit a gold brick, because the truth's going to come out that some of us were right all along, that they're spaceships. You know, they're, sorry, as much as you would like to. I ain't saying that everyone is a spaceship. There are sun diving comets, but these things that move and jerk and change direction ain't sun diving comets. And all the other things they try to explain with our current science and physics. But nobody throws in the UFO factor. And some of the things that have been seen on some of these radars and things are ET, period. We need to accept it and get on with it. Hey, Travis, caught a live stream again. Hey, how you doing? I'm inside. It's an hour and 22 minutes. Oh my God. Oh, I didn't miss it. We'll be here for a real 420 in 18 minutes. So, oh, David Castle, you're in Kentucky. Listen, I've sort of got a tentative schedule for when we're going to be leaving Ohio, and I'm going to be coming right through the Portsmouth and down through Ashland and down 23 and all the way down into Tennessee, where my niece lives. And we're going to spend a couple of days with my sister's daughter, Mary, and they live way up in them on the Tennessee side of the Tennessee North Carolina border. And I know I used to stay up there with some friends of mine that I built drums with, and to, you know, I've not been to my niece's place, but I can't wait to be up in the mountains again. I just can't wait, you know. But we're going to be coming right through Kentucky. I was looking at the map and checking it out. Or we'll take you to lunch, but we'll be coming out of Chillicothe. I'm sorry. Sunday, the Father's Day is on the 20th, and we're going to stay Monday, and I think we're going to leave on Tuesday, the 22nd, I think. So I was looking at the map, and from where Russell's Point and Indian Lake and everything is, it basically just come on south. My grandson lives around Chillicothe, so I was halfway thinking that, you know, could stop and see him for a minute. And then out of Chillicothe and into Kentucky, and you're in Ashland, I think. So We'll have to get phone number. Not now, not now, but I've got a couple of weeks, but and I'll give you I'll call you on my phone, but I don't have a cell phone, but my sister does. And I was thinking about getting mine turned on just for the trip, but I don't know. But it's hard to be able to call people when you don't have a cell phone. But anyway, um, but yeah, that was for Hush Puppy. What? I want to renegotiate my contract immediately. Um, I think that the winters are going to get a little longer, not necessarily harsher. But this spring has been, and last too, but this modern minimum that usually lasts for about 10 days in, 10 days, 10 years in, 10 years out. So about 20 years is what I can remember. Don't quote me on it, but just as a guess. So we're a couple of years going into it, so it's not to the worst, and it's a mini ice age. Um, but if that were the case, then there's not enough snow in the Sierras, and in I'm up in Klamath Valley and up there in Oregon, and you know when I look at the state of the lake at Hoover Dam and how far down the lake is, and I said this before, me and my brother were there in '99 and rode jet skis on the lake and went right up to where the towers are, and they were almost underwater. The water was damn near to the top of the dam. And now there's all this white on the sides of the mountain. There was no white when we were there. There was no white showing. It was full, and that's the last time it was full. So it's interesting that I had the opportunity to go out there and jet ski all around that lake when it was full. And now the marine is not even there anymore. It's gone. The water's gone down so much the marina had to close. I mean, it's creepy, freaky, and I can't imagine what it would be like to live there. And for anybody who's still living in that area and thinking that life is going to continue nice and, peaceful and harmony and everything, and the lake's still going down, y'all still using the water, y'all still using the electricity, get the out now. And I've got friends who live in Las Vegas and they moved there. Oh, I love it here. And this, okie dokie, But when the desert takes you, I'll pray for your dry bones. You know what I mean? And I mean that with respect. But at times, I just there are certain places that the only reason people are living there is because they built dams. There was X amount of water where there are all these things, and people said, "Woo, look how nice it is," and they moved in. And now that there's no water in lots of places, people are going, "Well, now what do I do? I don't know what you're going to do, and I'm not being rude, but now what you going to do? All them farmers out there, oh, and all the this and that. Yeah, now what you going to do? And I'm not trying to be a mean some bitch bastard, but so many people have put so much trust in so many things that are now not working. There's not enough water. There's not enough rainfall. There's not enough snowpack. There's not enough, Now what do you do? I was using water out of my my 1,000-gallon rain barrel for pouring my concrete, and and it's coming out with just a little bit of a tint, but that's because of the leaves. That's the tannin in the water. But You know, it smells good, it tastes good, it's refreshing. And I think if the rainwater was going to kill me, I'd be dead by now because I drink it every day in my coffee and stuff. You know, I'd be dead. Coffee, salute. We got 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to go out and check concrete, and it'll be 420 for real. I feel like in 4 more years we'll be getting heavy snows like we did 50 years ago. That's supposed to be what's headed, Steve. Supposedly. Hey, slightly. But here's the thing. I think the Earth wobble. It can like watching the moon straight overhead, and then 3 days later it be at 15 degrees off. So at a 15 degrees to where we would have possibly rolled to the north, 3 days isn't enough time for the temperature to change, but it is time enough for something um, to form like a low or a thingy and get a front down. And then as it rolls back to the south,